Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. Today, I have two very special guests here with me. We have Donna Pierson, founder of Give, Mentor, Love Foundation, and Megan Healy, who is the C-Sex supervisor for LA County. Thanks for coming on, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, I'm going to start with you, Donna. Okay. How and why did you start your foundation?
Oh, a trick question. You start off the bat. I have been working with this population of children for at least 15 years here in LA County. And I started seeing a really serious need for real specialized care. And these are just kind of the invisible kids, I guess is what I call them. Nobody really sees them. They know they're there, but to show up and try and help them and do anything with them, nobody really wants to do that part of it because they're not the most attractive looking children. They're very damaged kids. They've been through a lot of trauma, and if people see them on the street, they think they're a bunch of hoodlums or tramps or whatever, when in fact they're just nothing more than innocent children. Absolutely. And I recognized that early on when I started volunteering with them. And then I realized there was a lot more to them, and they needed a lot more than what has been provided for them through the governmental agencies.
Absolutely. And how do you tie in with Donna's foundation?
So I'm one of the governmental agencies that we work with our youth. Where the unit that I'm in is specifically for commercial sex exploited children. And through that, we have Donna's agency who they're just there for our kids whenever we need them. They provide mentoring, they provide activities for our kids. If we want to get our kids something like a gift card or something, they're always there for us. So they provide an amazing support to really meet the extra needs of our kids that us as a agency can't necessarily, but we know they need and want and deserve.
Absolutely. And I guess my question is more so, it's just so much to ask. I don't even know where to start. There's a lot of our audience. This is the first time I'm doing a nonprofit organization podcast. So I want to more so specifically talk about like sex trafficking and how big it is now. You know, it's crazy now how, you know, these children and young adults can be found. I know there's a situation with, you know, I guess where what is the word I'm looking for? The signs of where you can find, you know, these children's, or the signs they can look out for when they can potentially be taken.
So one of the things that we're working with is like we are direct services to our kids. And I wouldn't say that the issue has gotten worse or gotten better. I think more people are just finally looking and willing to understand the issue. One of the misnomers is that when you hear trafficking or something, you think of someone being moved or like held physically, but that's not necessarily the case. So we have our kids that could be, you know, being exploited around the corner from where they live, and there might not be any physical shackles, but there's emotional and mental shackles on them that really do not allow them to get the help that they so clearly need. And that's something that we're really working on, and that's one of the things that Donna's agency does is help us to provide those resources to the kids through various activities and mentoring, and also through therapy and everything like that to help the kids. And one of the things with social media becoming so out there for everyone, our kids are really utilizing that, and then that's how they're being exploited more, is that people are able to access them a lot more. Mm-hmm. And then they're also, advertisements are able to be done through social media as well.
Absolutely. So I know me and Donna talked on the phone prior to this meeting, and it was just so much to talk about and so much of an information overload. And I more so, I guess, want to know, usually when I have an association as well myself, usually when you have an association, it's near and dear to your heart. What made you choose sex trafficking, dealing with children and these young adults initially?
Well, initially, I just started volunteering at group homes, and these group homes were full of the children who were sex trafficked and exploited. So at that point, I started realizing that this was, I've been working with children for a long time. I started volunteering at group homes, foster group homes, and the group homes I volunteered at were the real high level of care. I think they're called like 10 and 11 and 12 numbered.
Oh, yeah. They have numbered on like the level of care for the amount of needs that our kids do. Now they're just called STRTPs, which are short-term residential treatment programs. And those are the group homes. But originally there would be like a level 10, a level 12, or a level 14.
And what do those levels mean in particular?
It would just be for when being assessed by the kid of like the risk and what kind of needs they need, if they need like intensive mental health, if they need intensive like assistance and stuff like that, or medications, that would then put them on the different levels. And then there's a whole assessment process. It's not like the worker just goes out and says it. We would meet with mental health professionals and then decide which would be best suited for them.
That is it's just amazing to me.
People don't understand what foster care is, and there's some kids that are in there and they can adjust and they can have a normal life. Especially the girls that have been sexually trafficked, what you find out is they are so much more damaged than the other kids that are in the foster care system. Their trauma is much deeper. Most of them has experienced very deep emotional trauma, but also physical trauma. And when you start thinking about a child that has been, used in the sex trade, some of these kids can get raped multiple times a night, and they don't get up in the morning to go to school.
Right.
After that happens, you just go to the hotel room and you sleep until they start parading the next group of men in the next night. So a lot of these kids are out there, and hopefully that's what CSEC tries to do, to rescue them. And then those are the ones that are pimps, or have pimps that have big bankroll from selling these girls. And they also have what they call Romeos, which are more the sexually exploited girls, and that could be usually an older man that comes in and says, well, I really love you, and nobody understands you like I do, and why don't you come live with me, or he's using her. Maybe she's still going back home, but then
mental manipulation,
he lures her to his house, and
there's different types of exploitation. So there's so when we say human trafficking, oftentimes people think like girls locked in rooms and stuff like that, but that's not necessarily the case. And then, so there's like the Romeo pimping, which considers like they are trying to meet the girl's need for love and like relationships. And
so they're actually the Romeo.
Yeah, they're trying to be like that's what the name came from, is like the concept. They're trying to create that relationship and create that need and dependence on them. And so that they're feeding off the girls and being like, no, I'm the only one that's going to love you. I'm the only one that's going to take care of you. And then there's also like, one of the older terms was guerrilla pimping, and that was like with the real physical violence, kind of like what we would think of like snatch and grab. However, a lot of times the lines are blurred. We're not just one way or the other. Even if the girls have a guy that might have initially started with them that was very affectionate and very loving, they would also become physically aggressive, because that's kind of how you create the trauma bond, where those who are being trafficked feel like they can't leave and they have to stay. So it's a whole world of abuse.
That goes into my next question. Like, what would you guys say are 5 top things to watch out for, to look out for in a situation where you can potentially be sex trafficked?
That's a really good question and a hard question. For us and for what we do, I think it goes deeper than just like knowing for one situation.
Yeah.
It goes back to all the way in the beginning in childhood. One of the number one things that you can do, and what they've done studies on, is when you're teaching your children about their body parts, using their real names. And that helps to alleviate the situation where they could be sexually abused, because if they're able to understand what their private parts are and know the right names, and not using a cutesy term, or not feeling kind of ashamed by not using the right name, they're able to openly discuss things with adults. So if something were to start happening to them, they'd be able to share it. And also because one of the things is we know kids who lead to be trafficked, there's a 95% chance that they were sexually abused in their earlier years. Mm-hmm. And another thing you can look at is like kids that seem to be needing some kind of like attention in a way of like there might be something going on at home, things aren't stable, and they're looking for someone to kind of support and take care of them, and they might be trying to be that person in their own life, so they think this is their only way that they can take care of themselves, because they'll go out and in their minds they're getting their money, they're being the ones to be able to do it, and they don't see themselves as victims, they see themselves as just this is the only way they can survive. So like looking for those kind of signs to be like, hey, maybe I can talk to that youth, reach out to them, give them something else to be able to get involved in and work with.
Absolutely. So once you guys have a hold of them with your association and the LA County CSEC unit, how do you guys, I guess, change their mental status of where they are currently?
That's a really hard question. And it's harder to even answer. So we go into group homes regularly. We also will go one-on-one with the girls, mentoring them. You know, it's first thing you have to do is develop a friendship, a relationship with them, and try to make them understand or know that you're there to help them. And because they don't trust anybody. They've been
and they shouldn't
lied to, and
you can't blame them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. And so they don't trust anybody. They're very angry. They know how to work the system. They really know how to work the system.
I mean, they've been surviving basically on their own for quite a while in just the worst parts of society. So they do know how to get what they need in certain aspects. You know, it could be through not great means, but they understand that. But the number one way to be able to help these kids is to start with the relationship. It's something that I tell my workers. I'm like, we're not going in to get the full background. We're not going in to all of a sudden force perfect school attendance, this and that. Let's start with the relationship. Let's see what they think their needs are, and we start building from there and understanding that little successes are what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
We're not looking for perfect changes overnight. And I mean, even with populations that don't have this kind of trauma, like that's not what we do. Like think about like if you're trying to change in our own life, if we're trying to change a habit, like we're not going to do it overnight.
Yeah.
We have to be able to understand why we need to do it and really bond with that and then be able to work from there. So I think the relationship is the most important part that we form with the kids, agencies, us, all of it.
Absolutely.
So with my foundation, we started in group homes almost 15 years ago. And even to this day, some of the girls we have developed one-on-one relationships with, one-on-one mentoring with. And we have go to one group home and then all of a sudden she's gone. And the next time we go to another group home and Miss Donna or Miss So-and-so, one of our volunteers walk in and they come run up and they're like, we're a familiar face. And they love us because they know we keep showing up and we keep providing them with the things that they need. And so that's very, very important. With my foundation, one of the things, our one-on-one mentoring is huge. It's one of the most important things we do. And we do group home visits regularly at the CSEC group homes. But it's the one-on-one that we build with them because, so like I said, most of these kids have no living skills, no social skills. And we do activities at the group homes that provide them with a lot of these skills or teach them the skills. They're designed to, programs that are designed to teach the skills. And then one-on-one, we work with them to just give them somebody safe to trust.
Absolutely.
And I know, and we have like, my foundation is 30 volunteers strong right now. We need more volunteers. Yeah. But they will call us. I mean, they will even call us at 2:00 in the morning. And I need help. And I ran away, but now I'm trying to get back in and nobody's answering the door and things like that. So my first question, whenever they call, is my first question always is, are you safe? Are you all safe?
Absolutely.
Because to them, that's the most important thing. It's they need to be safe, and we'll deal with everything after that. So the relationship is number one for helping them get them on the healing track.
And with building that relationship, I know comes like an emotional attachment, because I can't even imagine, like, you know, helping one child and then, you know, you think they're on this path and then they go back to what they know. And it's just like an emotional attachment. How do you guys deal with the emotional attachment that you have, knowing that it can potentially go left at any given moment?
Because we know it'll come back the other way eventually if we stay close. I mean, that's been my experience with it.
Well, and I don't think you can do this job without the emotional attachment. Like,
absolutely.
Because if you can't form the connection, there's a lot that goes on with this that, like, you can't take that kind of abuse from all sides and do this without that attachment and that bond. And I mean, sometimes, like, the kids need it. Like, it's the only strong attachment they have. Absolutely. And, like, them knowing that they can push you off as many times, but you're always going to be there, is the most beneficial thing.
Absolutely. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, and then they do. They push you off. They think as soon as you get close, they'll do something to make you back off. And they're rude, they're nasty, they'll say really mean, nasty things to you. And we just smile and we go, that's okay. I understand. And we just let it at that and move on, because they'll see us again, and then that's all forgotten, and we'll just keep picking up, moving forward with the relationship.
It definitely needs to be more people and more women like you that support these causes, because, you know, being a woman and obviously having a vagina, we need to, like, support that, because it's you know, when I guess when you give yourself to someone, that takes a piece of yourself, right? You know, so I just feel like when it's no longer a choice, it just comes with so much mental trauma. And I know Megan was talking about how they do treatments for the brain can we talk more about that? Because I'm like, so
fascinating.
Yeah,
right?
It's so fascinating to know that you can treat the brain to alleviate some of that trauma.
So things that we're learning more and more in brain science, and, like, brain science is evolving so much even in the past 10 years, is that the concept that trauma of all kinds affects the way brain develops and affects the way your brain communicates with itself, as well as your central nervous system. So I know how sometimes, like, if we might be sad, like, our body might hurt. And, like, that's how our brain is communicating with our central nervous system. With our kids, because of the amount of trauma that they've felt, their brains don't work the way that someone who hasn't gone through the same things do. And oftentimes kids in this situation might have been drug exposed or fetal alcohol syndrome. That also changes the way the brain forms and is able to handle certain things. However, we're learning that there's very specific different types of treatment that can help bring the brain back online. And so one of the things Donna and I were talking about is EMDR, which is a rapid eye movement treatment that uses both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain and works to try to rewire the brain into talking with the right, the left, the right, the left, to be able to process trauma and to be able to help guide the client or whoever is utilizing that kind of therapy to be able to kind of not go back the same way they were before when they're going through their traumas with the different negative ways, and also bring the brain back on to have correct cortisol levels and have correct other chemicals working so they can move forward.
Absolutely. And I know rapid eye movement has to do with dreaming and sleeping. So these children are sleeping while you guys are doing
so they're actually
treatment?
Awake, and what they're doing is sometimes it's with lights or an actual, like, focusing on something and then looking back and forth, and
like, so a hypnosis type of situation.
It's a type of kind of a hypnosis, and then they actually start talking about their trauma or processing different things while getting the brain to work back and forth, because when they were traumatized, the brain wasn't working correctly, so they weren't able to kind of intellectualize it at a way to help them process and get through. So it's like, as they're talking about the trauma, having the brain try and work correctly and go side to side, they're able to start processing it.
So do you think it's more like a, I'm sorry, I'm like so intrigued.
I know.
Is it more like a shock? Like, if a traumatic situation happens, does that shock your brain to stop working how it usually works? Is that
So
what it
yeah,
is?
so whenever, and this is for anyone, not just like us, it's like, we go into fight, flight, or freeze.
Right.
And if we're in a bad situation, that's a good thing, because that's really getting you to get in and get out of it. However, for our kids that are living in the ways they're living and in the communities or the lifestyles, they're constantly in fight, flight, or freeze. And that doesn't allow your brain to rest. And when your brain can't rest and reset, all of the different chemicals in your brain aren't working correctly. And they're actually sending the wrong signals. And they're actually makes learning difficult, and it makes forming connections difficult, and it makes just processing, like maybe, you dropped your pen and we would get frustrated and we pick it up. But for them, if their brain is kind of like going crazy with everything, they might overreact. And if they're in a situation like a school or a social and they overreact, then they're looked at differently. And so it's like another setback. And one of the things that I teach is the concept of like flipping your lid, because with the hand model of the brain, this is the front part is where that handles all that stuff. And so when your fight, flight, or freeze is triggered, you're flipping your lid and you're not able to use it correctly.
Well, that is,
and it actually
amazing.
has more of a healing. It's more of a healing process versus, and talking therapy is very important, of course. For the girls. They need to talk out what the trauma they have suffered, but this actually helps them, what's the word? Process it and process the trauma they have experienced. And so, I mean, so we're in an activity with the girls at a group home, and one of the girls will walk in and then she'll just pick up a glass and accidentally knock something that the other girl has there, and it becomes a fist fight. And those kind of things are because they're always in the fight and flight situation. Whereas after this treatment, the MDRs and there's other things as well that work, and we're starting to want to utilize that. Or my foundation, Give Mental Love Foundation, wants to start offering these. And one of the reasons that they don't offer it is because it's very expensive, and it doesn't get covered with.
Can we talk about MDR, because I have no knowledge at all about what MDR is.
The rapid eye movement. And
Okay, so it's the same process. So. And I know you are doing so many things with your foundation. You have an event coming up October 1st for your foundation, and you are opening up a village for these girls to live in.
So it's in the planning process. Back in 2019, so I'm going to back up a little bit. In 2019, Adela Estrada, who's head of LA County Specialized Bureau for Commercial Sexual Exploited Children, Adela contacted me and said, Donna, what we really, really need is a CSEC-TAY home, which means the CSEC, of course, the sexually trafficked kids, but TAY meaning transitional aged youth. And those are the girls that are aging out of the system, the foster care system. And they're typically 18 to 21 years. And once they age out, there's usually no place for them to go. If they find another transitional foster home or transitional program for foster care girls, regular foster care kids, the problem with that is that these kids that have been sexually trafficked, their trauma is usually deeper, more traumatizing, more damaging, and they don't heal. Absolutely. They don't heal. If they heal, it's minimal to what they need to be at that age. So when they hit 18 years old, the system says, okay, now you need to move out. We're not going to provide all the things we provided for you before, like housing and food, and somebody who's going to wake you up in the morning and send you to school and this and that. All of a sudden, they're like, okay, now you have to go. You're on your own. You're an adult now. Right. Well, at 18 years old, after suffering all that trauma, you're not magically healed on your 18th birthday. So,
and not only the healing, we have youth that probably for their foundational years where they should be learning things about how to take care of themselves and how to live on your own, they're not getting any kind of that instruction. Try as we might, but if they're caught up in this world and the trauma, they don't know how to keep a house clean. They don't know what they need to do for certain bills and everything like that. And so once they get 18, it's a whole different world. And like this kind of housing would be amazing because it would be really just focused on helping them be able to transition into adulthood.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because it's one thing to put them into a transitional living, but what happens in what is available out there in transitional housing now, that's it. They give you a place and then they give you a program and they say, well, okay, now you got to get a job and you got to enroll in school and we're going to help you this much until you can get on your feet.
But how do you get a job when you don't have any type of like background knowledge?
A lot of them haven't even graduated from high school yet.
Right.
Because you don't get up and go to school when you're sex trafficked. So, and they don't know how to cook. They don't know how to shop. They're used to being handed money and immediately spending it because they don't know anything about a bank account or anything. So what my foundation does is we go in and we have a program we call Forge Ahead too, which is one of the programs we work with their kids either one-on-one or in the group homes. But what we're trying to develop now for the transitional, and this is in the planning stages and it's extremely exciting. So Adela had asked me, back to Adela's story, she had asked me to, buy a house for, and let's see if we can break it up into 6 separate bedrooms because they heal better that way. They need their own privacy and to, help them just become a normal person again. So she said, home with 6 bedrooms. My darling Paul Resnick husband, he told me that, what are you doing wasting your time on one house? He said, why don't you buy acreage? And I'm like, because we need the house now. We got girls that need a home now. And he goes, well, you can build a bunch of houses. And I said, yeah, but we can't wait a year to build a house. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, there's like tiny houses these days. So all of a sudden we started putting this program together and a concept together, and it's I'm very excited about it. And we're looking for acreage. We're actually actively shopping for acreage right now.
That's beautiful.
We started off with 2 acres, but now I'm going, no, we need 5. So we're now looking at a bigger piece.
Absolutely.
And the concept is, it's going to be like a community house or room, and in that community room is 2 or 3 bedrooms. Hopefully 3 bedrooms will be in there, and that's where some of the girls who need a little more intensive care will be in those homes. Inside the main house, it will be staffed 24 hours a day, so that if they need help because nighttime's one of the worst times for kids that have been sexually trafficked. That's when they have their most emotional issues. But so the main house will be it'll have a kitchen, it'll have a community room where we can teach the programs, all the living skills that they need. Plus, we're going to have the little houses, the separate little tiny houses where each girl can have her own home, and we will be very connected to them in a way that we will be able to help them every day. Okay, this is how you clean your house. This is how you make the bed and how you wash your dishes. And I mean, they don't get any of that stuff. You think that sounds silly, but it is that serious an issue. They just don't get any of that yet.
Well, and your mentoring right now is working with one of our youth who is a TAY, and same situation where she was in a short-term group home and then now is being transitioned out because she reached 18, but the place where she's staying there is having a lot of issues because she doesn't know how to clean or be clean. And one of your mentors is going to come in weekly and start teaching those skills, because without it being broken down, because I can just walk in and be like, why don't you clean? But that's not how anyone learns. So they need to see it through modeling, having it broken down, then being able to ask questions. So this would be very beneficial for not even just like the cleanliness, all parts of them learning. They can really see it on the different steps of
personal
learning.
hygiene and dressing as well.
And you know what? I feel like that goes back down to, my dad always used to tell me I used to get frustrated with, like certain people that might not have the same morals or standards that I have, but he always lets me know if you don't know better, or if they don't know better, they won't do better. And that's kind of where that, I guess, that teaching takes place. Absolutely. Instead of faulting them, you know, just teach them opposed to that.
So the concept of the village is, of course, with Paul's hands on it, he always said, we got to do a beautiful landscaping, little meandering sidewalks. We're gonna have a vegetable gardens and beautiful
flower
gardens.
So heavily involved as well too. That's amazing.
He's my mentor in a lot of ways,
love
especially on this project.
And I'm sure a lot of other people's mentors.
Yeah, absolutely. And but we will provide all these programs, and I really see it as a very home-like situation. We'll have very good security. And I want a dog and a cat and chickens and all these things so they can really feel like it's their home.
Absolutely.
And so during this process, so the program that Megan just mentioned it's a program, we have like 5 really specific programs that we teach. And the one she's talking about right now is called Bachelorette Survival. And actually, we also have a bachelor survival as well, because it's not only girls who are sex trafficked. There are boys as well. So, but Bachelorette Survival is where we actually go into the homes, the group homes or the foster homes where they are, and we teach them how to, make your bed, how to wash your laundry, how to cook foods, how to shop, how to just manage a budget, how to organize your drawer. How to set up an account, a banking account. Then we have another program. So our 5 programs, and this is definitely going to be a part of our village as well as what we do now, because in the group homes. But we have financial fitness, which is from here's how you save money. This is you make money. This is what's taken out of your check. This is how much of it you need to save. This is how you don't get into credit cards. And we teach them all those programs with the financial fitness. Then we do the Bachelorette Survival. We do Pinky Up Charm School. Oh, God, that's...
what is that?
Okay, Pinky Up Charm School is fun. I love to do that. But we actually teach them social skills, social manners, etiquette, as it's called, and because they don't have that. Maybe most of these girls have never been in a fancier place to eat than maybe like Denny's or one of the little grills or something, 24-hour grills. And so they don't get it what to do when they get in a social situation. So we train them because the first thing that's going to happen, like she was talking about, the first thing that will happen is they'll go into a social situation, they're going to do something wrong, they're going to see everybody look at them, and they're going to blow it. And that's it. And then you've lost them. They're going to make a scene. It's going to be nasty. So what we teach them, and we actually do role playing with the Pinky Up Charm School.
I love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
Pinky Up Charm School.
Yes.
I love it.
It just, because I tell my grandkids something about, etiquette, and they put their pinky up like that. That's how it, so I go, okay, that works.
I love it.
But anyhow, the Pinky Up Charm School does everything from how to greet people, how to talk on the phone, how to interview, how to dress for an interview. Our girls are dressed uniquely, like very uniquely, like outfits you would not normally show up to apply for a job at McDonald's. That would not be the way you would dress for that. So we try and make them understand that they need to dress appropriately for wherever they end up or whatever
and it's like navigating a situation they haven't necessarily been in. Like not even saying like, a different socioeconomic, but it's like, not every teenager knows how to go for a job. It's like giving them that, but being able to tailor it to them who've had their prior history and being able to help them with interviews or being able to help them like, hey, maybe if they want to talk to a mentor, this is how you can ask, this is what you should look for. Or even kids, like some of our kids don't have the greatest interpersonal communication skills with each other. It's like, this is how, if you have a conflict or if this is how you want to hang out with someone, this is how you can do it. And it's just helping them be able to navigate the world that they might have felt some sort of way about before and giving them the skills. So instead of feeling judged or scared, they have those skills to be able to go into so they have confidence. Because we know if you're not successful before, you're not going to want to try again.
Right.
So if we can give them the confidence so that they can be successful, and then they can look at that and they can apply it to other parts of life, not just like making a new friend or doing well in school or doing well in a therapy session even. It's like, hey, maybe if I did well here, I can try out for a team, or I can go for this job, or I can like pitch this idea.
Baby steps forward.
Absolutely.
So one of the things we do besides the social one is greeting. I even teach, when we have the boys, I teach them how to open the door, the old-fashioned etiquette. But I said, nothing ever hurts. You see an old lady, pull out, give her your seat and things like that. And they look at it and it's things sometimes I never thought of that, and they kind of get excited, and we do it in a fun way. We make it kind of look like it's fun and silly at first, so that they don't get intimidated by it.
Right.
But we also do, I love this part, it's teaching them table manners. And that's interesting because, and what we do is we set the table with fine china, and we do our dinners of thanks, and we do a Valentine tea.
I love that.
And we actually teach them. We come in and set the tables with the china, the crystal, the utensils, the linens, and everything. Really beautifully set table. And then we teach them, okay, when you sit, how to sit down, what to do with your napkin, and things like that. So when we are working with the training the etiquette, table etiquette, after we train them and they get confident, then we actually take them to a restaurant, a nice restaurant.
I love
and we
that.
let them order, and they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified. And by the end of and we just make them comfortable. And the times that I've brought them into restaurants like that, I've discussed it with the restaurant before we come in, and I said, this is an etiquette class. I don't tell them who our clients are, but I said, this is an table etiquette class. So our young people don't understand a lot of the things. So if you just be, please, kind of guide them or help them if you can, but please don't judge them and all. And it has been wonderful response, and it's very cute. And by the time they get up, they're so proud of themselves, and then they're standing up, getting everybody to take pictures of them sitting at the table. And I said, now you've had an experience, and now you're going to walk into the next experience, and you're going to be more confident. And I always the first thing I always tell them. I tell them, fake it until you make it.
Absolutely.
You sit down, you don't know what to do.
That's a good
You
one.
just sit down and watch until somebody does something that, she looks like she knows what she's doing, and then you do what they do and imitate it. And I said, because trust me, the first time I sat at those tables, I didn't know what to do either.
And I feel like we all don't know.
Exactly.
There's things that we all don't know as adults still to this day. And, it's again, beautiful that you guys do what you guys do. And I want to kind of talk more about the event. October 1st, and where everyone can go if they want to attend the event, the website where they can go to look for help, just kind of showcase the good stuff.
Thank you. So my organization, our foundation is called Give Mentor Love Foundation. It is, you can go online. Our website is givementorlove.org. And it's one word, givementorlove.org. And on our website, you will see everything that our foundation provides, and also information about our upcoming event that's on October 1st. And they can buy tickets, and we definitely encourage people to volunteer. LA County, we serve all of LA County, and we can use, and we have men mentors too, men and women that are volunteers with us.
Absolutely. So if you guys want to volunteer, men, women, it's genderless is the word that I'm looking for. Genderless volunteers are looking for that, as well as sponsors, I'm sure. So please, if you guys want to volunteer and sponsor this beautiful cause and what they're doing for our community and for the young adults and the women and men of our community that is being sex trafficked around the world more so. And it's such a big cause, especially, more so now. I feel like it's so much sex trafficking going on. Be careful out there. There's this new thing that I just recently heard about with air tags, like where they can find your location using your air tags. So I just know that, to just be very careful and take care of yourself, protect yourself. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about and add on?
Well, the one thing that I know a lot of times I run into is people ask me, they say, well, I've got a teenage daughter, what should I be watching out for?
Yes.
And so CSAC also has a website that you can go to and find out more information about that as well.
LA
Yes.
County in general has a website that gives a bunch of different information, things to look at, resources, all of that for people who are going through it, families, and also victims.
Absolutely. And where can, you said the website they can find you, and what's the CSEC website that they can go to as well?
No idea.
Yeah, you just put in LA County
Yeah,
CSEC, CSEC.
It's LA. Yeah, it's a overarching because it has DMH resources, which is Department of Mental Health, DPSS resources, DCFS resources. So it's just an LA County website that has all of the CSEC stuff, and it's a main page that you can just click on a bunch of stuff.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to be a part of Give Mentor Love Foundation, please visit the website at givementorlove.org. And that is it for Telli Talks.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you so much.